Hi, my name is Monica Fernandes. Here at Evolution Essentials, I want you to love yourself first. That's why I teach people how to lead a wellness lifestyle with holistic tools such as essential oils and Reiki. So you too can have more love, more health, and more balance in your life. I felt inspired to connect with my loved ones, my friends, and contacts all over the world. They are experts in their field. I wanted to share with you our conversations and how we deal with stress and crisis. So if at any moment in your life you're feeling down, this show is for you.
So shifting gears a little bit, I want to ask you if during this time or not during this time specifically, but in periods or moments where you're having a bad moment in a day, what are some of the things that you do to get out of it? So how do you deal with stress specifically, personally?
I want to answer this, and thank you for that question. It's a very interesting question. So I want to put it in a different way. It's as if you're asking somebody, they're on a bicycle, and there's like, let's say you're going on a bicycle and you hit a bump or hit something and you fall over and you hit your head. How would you deal with that? Well, the best remedy for that is for him to have a helmet and be aware of what's going on around. Okay. Not to deal with it afterwards. And the reason I'm bringing up that analogy is that almost including myself, anybody who's done anything in their life, who's taken care of themselves, who has dealt with stress, with depression, they have routines in place as a precautionary measure, but also as a way to not only maintain their energy, their health, but also be able to create a life that's energetic, that's charged, that's fulfilling, rather than always tired and exhausted and sick.
Can you share one of those things? What's one routine that's
so I have a morning routine,
thing?
For example. So my morning routine usually is, it could take anywhere between 30 minutes to 2 hours, depending on how my schedule is going and how many things I have to do. But the things are the same, because even if I can do a small portion of those things, I'll do them, or I do a longer version if I do them. So what I usually do is when I wake up, get refreshed and everything, then first thing I do is I drink water, because we're all dehydrated by the time we wake up. And just that makes a huge difference. Just having a couple of glasses of water makes a huge difference. And you can test that for yourself. Have that water and not have the water. And then I don't go straight towards the coffee. And then that's something I learned pretty quickly, because coffee makes you crash if you haven't set up something else before that. And then I have movement. So I focus on moving my body, because you've just spent the last 8 hours or so sleeping and your body hasn't activated yet. You might be awake, your mind is awake, but your body's not awake yet in a lot of ways. So just movement. I do some free body exercises, partly yoga, partly stretching, all sorts of stuff, about 20 minutes to basically and by the time I finish that, I feel so energized that almost anything after that is like, I feel good. And this is something I want to add something here, because this is very profound. Yeah. So I assumed when I went on this journey that I have to get over my stress, my trauma, my depression, all that stuff, to be able to have a great and amazing and fulfilling life. Now, I can tell you, even after over a decade of working on those things, there are days, and a lot of days, that I wake up, I don't feel like I'm in the best shape possible. I don't feel happy when I wake up. I know that I'm dealing with a lot of triggers and things internally. And I'm a human being, just like anybody else. I'm always dealing with challenges and all sorts of things. And my assumption was that I had to heal all that stuff to move forward and have a happy and fulfilling and purposeful life. Such a bad assumption, because what I realized was, as I went towards that, as I started not only healing, the healing is always there. I'm not saying to not heal that part of yourself, not look within, not introspect, or go for therapy or support or any of that stuff. Keep doing that stuff. That's great. But don't wait for that stuff don't become a healed person before you do anything in your life, because nobody's healed. Some of the greatest contributors in the world I've seen, they have a lot of pain within them. In fact, that pain drives them a lot of times. So when I wake up, I'm not in the best state all the time, or usually, but as soon as I go towards the things that I'm talking about, so I have the water and I move my body, and after that, I'm sitting there, I do my meditation. Actually, I go outside a little bit to get some fresh air for like 5 or 10 minutes and just be quiet there. And then I do my other meditation, and then I read for about 20 minutes. By the time I'm done these things, I'm so charged and energized, and my perspective is so positive that it doesn't matter what's coming throughout the day. By the way, one thing I mentioned was after the meditation, I usually do my journaling, and I do gratitude journal, and just plan my day ahead to see, all right, if I've done my weekly planning, I'll look at that and look at what are the important things for that day. And there's a specific type that I do. But the point is that I know what's coming in my day and what I'm dealing with. So these things can take anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours, depending on how much time I want to put into this and how much time I have. And if I didn't have these routines, and I've had days when there are days where I can't, and you see a tangible difference. And I'm not in a position where I can just say I can stop this. So I feel like whatever I do is a calling for me. When I'm working with my clients, when I'm with my family, when I'm connecting with other people. So if I'm not in the best shape possible, how can I contribute to them? And you talked about the love tank. Unless we have that filled up within ourselves, we haven't taken care of ourselves. How can we hope to show up for other people?
Exactly.
We simply can't. And if I didn't do these things, I don't think I'd be in the shape to do any of this, because what will surface is my trauma. What will surface is my childhood problems, which I'm dealing with, but they don't have a chance to come out a lot of times. Even if they do, they don't impact my day in the way that they would if I didn't have these routines in place. Now, this is incredibly important, because people who do these things, and I've seen this, it's not just theory, it's not just my personal perspective. I've seen hundreds of people who do these things, where they go towards these things and something hits them. It could be any challenge, financial challenge, business challenge, relationship health, all sorts of things. They're able to handle it much, much better than anybody else. So dealing with stress starts before that, not after. Now, I understand that some people might not be doing that, but this is the time to start. This is an opportunity to start these things, because what are you doing throughout your day? Are you waiting for somebody to fix this? Or are you looking within and seeing, well, what can I fix within? What do I have control over? The only things we all have control over is our thoughts, emotions, and our actions. That's it.
Yes. And you mentioned healing, and I feel like, healing is not an end result. It's a work in progress.
Yes.
And what you mentioned about your routine, you're nurturing the body, the mind, the spirit. You're doing those three things right off the bat. And it gives you sort of like that preparation to, you filled that tank completely in all aspects, and you're ready for the day. But yes, we are human, so it can happen that circumstances outside of your person, things, unexpected circumstances like what's happening now, can really affect your routines and affect your daily life. And but again, I do feel that you touched on the nurturing of yourself in all those aspects. Turning back to yourself is essential.
It's not only essential in that sense, but it's incredibly needed in the world right now. If you are in a position where, and by the way, I consider anybody a leader who is responsible for anyone, and we're all in some ways. We're either responsible for a family, for a coworker, for the people that we connect with, for the people in our life. So if you're responsible for anybody, you owe it to them, if not to yourself. A lot of people are more inclined to take care of others than themselves. So if you can't take care of yourself for your sake, do it for others around you. They need you to be in a better shape. They need you to show up with a better energy. They need you to show up in a way that will be a support for them. and then you will receive that same support in return, just the consequence of that.
Yes, absolutely.
I want to actually break down something. I think maybe we should have done this in the beginning, but
Okay.
let me add this. This was an important thing that I learned. So when we say stress, maybe you need to translate this whole thing.
Okay.
So what did you say the title for the show is? I love that.
So it's how to deal with stress and crisis.
Stress and crisis. No,
So
the title
it's
for your
about,
whole show, you said something evolution.
Well, my business is Evolution Essentials, but I wanted, to specifically deal with these times, and even if it's not during pandemic times, that it be relevant for somebody that is experiencing stress in their life at any moment. So regardless of these circumstances right now, to be relevant in terms of, maybe learning some things, some of the tips that you've covered, where it would be, maybe that's okay. I can implement maybe 20 minutes in the morning to take care of my body. I never thought of that.
5 minutes. So if you just if somebody just did 5 minutes of movement in the morning, that is enough to at least get the process started. Nobody has to do an hour or 2 hours. I didn't start with that. Nobody starts with that. Just those incremental changes makes a big difference. What I wanted to go into was the word. So stress essentially, it's a cover word. We use it because it's a soft word. But when
you think it's a soft word?
Oh, it is a soft, and I'll tell you why it's a soft word. You'll see it very clearly. So stress, overwhelm, swamped. These are all cover words, and you can easily translate that to "I'm afraid." Fear is the actual word. We don't use it because it's hard to admit that we're afraid.
Fear is a big word. I mean,
it's a big word, but there are degrees to that, and I'll actually prove that to you right now, or at least I'll quote somebody who's an expert in this. Have you heard of Dr. Bruce Lipton?
Yes.
Okay, so he's probably one that I think he has described that so well, and his analogies are amazing when it comes to this. So, when we're in the state that we call stress, essentially where our body is experiencing fear. Whether we call it fear or not, it doesn't matter. Biologically, we're experiencing fear. So what do you notice? And there are different degrees of it. So you can be stressed out and your mind is running all over. You feel tense, your heart rate is going up, you feel sweaty, all sorts of things. You get anxiety, it gets a little bit higher. Your palms get sweaty, heart rate goes up, and you feel tension in your body. You feel like you need to do something. All these little symptoms, we don't think much of them. No, that's normal. That's how, yes, it happens, but it's happening for a reason. So the way Dr. Bruce Lipton, if I can explain it properly based on how he did it, is that when we're in that state, we call this, biologists call this a fight or flight response. And it's a state where you're in a fear. Your body is trying to defend itself. Now, the challenge is, so if you were in front of a wild animal, you feel that's actually a powerful and important mechanism within our body. You will feel all that because it'll make you either fight that.
You need the adrenaline pumping. You need the adrenaline pumping to be able to escape, right?
Yeah, and forget wild animals. Just if there's a bus coming your way, you don't have enough time to consciously decide, am I going to go there? Your hindbrain engages and you quickly go into action.
Reflex.
And that is incredibly powerful. And now the problem is that the environments that we've created for ourselves, it doesn't allow, that mechanism is becoming more and more useless in this environment. And our biology doesn't know how to react to that. So anything from conflicts within relationship, money stress, economy, news, other people triggering us, somebody on the sidewalk yelling at somebody else, or car, you're in a car and somebody cuts you off. All these are triggers for you to go in that state if you're not aware. So what happens is you go into this state where your energy, the way Dr. Bruce Lipton describes it, your energy from your immune system, it goes into your limbs to prepare you to actually either fight or flight or figure something out in that moment. Your energy goes through your hindbrain, which is the subconscious part of kind of your brain that runs your heart rate and all sorts of stuff that's not in your direct control. And it gets you to a state where you're supposed to deal with danger, but the problem is that in that moment, there is no actual tangible danger. And your body just spent an incredible amount of energy taking out from the mechanism in your system, from the energy system of your core, to heal you, to deal with all sorts of problems in your environment. And internally, you could use that energy to deal with your emotions in a better way, to use your focus in a different way. And it just went all away. And this doesn't just happen once or twice. Forget pandemic, just a normal day-to-day life for most people. It's as if, this is how Dr. Bruce Lipton described it, it's as if there's a tiger chasing you constantly.
Yes.
Now,
chronic stress, and that's a lot of, like with autoimmune disease and everything, it's chronic. You know, it's a chronic stress in your body.
And what is that? The chronic stress is a chronic fear. It's something, and that's one of my other favorite thought leaders with this is Dr. Gabor Mate, who actually referenced Dr. Bruce Lipton in his book, When the Body Says No. That's exactly what he did that book on, is that how do emotional trauma in our life that hasn't been dealt with shows up in our life in terms of autoimmune diseases, cancer, and all sorts of stuff, because it hasn't been dealt with. None of us have been taught how to deal with emotions. And one spiritual teacher actually called it, we are in emotional dark ages. And we have to figure that out or find better tools to deal with these emotions. And one of the ways is actually being aware that whenever you're stressed, acknowledge the fact that I'm afraid. So now the question becomes, what are you afraid of?
Yeah.
What are you afraid of?
About it. Identify and then act.
And what, here's the thing, if we don't identify it, we don't figure out what we're afraid of, we don't know it. It's essentially, it's a boogeyman that we're trying to run away from, but we don't know what it is. And this is something I actually take people through in coaching, is that and this is something you probably hear a lot when you talk to people, I'm afraid of the unknown. It's such a common thing that people say, I'm afraid of the unknown. Or another common thing is, I'm afraid of failing, fear of failure. Neither of them exists, to be honest. And it's something we say, we think it's real, but it's not. So what if we dug deeper into this? Well, let's take, I'm afraid of the unknown. Well, just observe kids, for instance. If you take a 2-year-old, 3-year-old child who hasn't been indoctrinated yet, and this happened with my nephew. It was so interesting because we were camping, and it's like in the middle of the night, dark, pitch black, and it's one of those nights where you can't see anything. And I forgot my light, and he grabs my hand. He's going towards the beach, and he's like, let's go, uncle. And his dad is beside him. His dad is more afraid of the dark than he is. And he's like, let's go. He can't see anything. He's so curious about what's happening. He's just running towards it. I'm just thinking, how could a grown adult man be afraid of the dark, but yet this little child not? And then I always heard this in my coaching recently. I'm like, what do you mean you're afraid of the unknown? What does that mean to you? He's like, well, I don't know what's going to happen. So what they're describing is that they don't have control over the unknown. And we all have a need for certainty to a certain level. But what we actually do is, it's not the fear of the unknown. It's the fear of what we project onto the unknown. So what images, what thoughts, what emotions are we projecting? And based on everything that we're projecting onto the unknown is what we learned in the past. So we're taking something from our past, putting it in the future that doesn't exist in reality. Same thing with fear.
The fear didn't surge that moment. It's come from before. You don't just get fear. I mean, unless it's like you said, the tiger that shows up. But if it's something that you've found out, or you've had it for a long time, and maybe you don't even know how to identify it. And but so that made me think, what are you afraid of?
So that's an interesting question. So what am I afraid of? See, I had to learn to, one of the things that I've worked on over the years is, and there's something that I don't know if this will resonate with your audience or not, but once you start to go towards introspection and meditation and these things, you kind of get this inkling that beyond what we call our personality and who we are, our name, our identity, where I come from, the work that we do, we start to notice that there's something fake about all of these. There's something underneath all of that is a deeper, so to say, personality, but not a personality, but it's a presence that you start to notice. And it's an experience. It's hard to describe this unless you've experienced it, but you start to notice this presence within you that kind of does not feel fear. does not feel stress, does not feel thing. And what you feel is this kind of feeling of joy, abundance, greatness, things that you would aspire towards, yet it's there within you. It's incredibly interesting. And what happens is, so as you, and this only happens when you spend time alone a lot. And and this is how I describe it to my clients a lot of times when they're struggling. I'll tell you a story about this. This is interesting. So in India, when people go to these spiritual teachers and masters and these sages, and they line up, and they go on the line, and they're all seeking something from them. Like, I need to deal with my relationship. Give me something that would help me. Or some of them, and they believe in reincarnations. Like, and one person would go up to this guru of sorts and be like, you know, I feel stuck in this body. I feel like I've been cursed with this life, and I need to get unstuck, and I need to find a different way to approach it, and this and that. And then almost always the nature of questions is that I'm here and I feel like a victim, and I don't know what to do. And then the master looks at him in the eye, and then almost always be like, who's asking? And that is what I'm trying to point out, is that the surface of our personality is a product of our environment. Our language that we know is a product of our environment. If you were, and this is the perspective that I've gone, because I came from a completely different culture. And I thought, and this was one of the things that I struggled with when I came here at 17 years old, I thought that everything that I was taught was reality. And then when I started looking at things, it was an alien world to me. I'm like, how could it be that what I was taught was completely incorrect? I didn't get it. How are people approaching these things differently? And then after a while, when I started living here, this is not even the reality. And then I started noticing, especially living in Toronto, there's so many different cultures. There are 50 to 100 different cultures that all think so differently about things. How could it be that they're all right about things? Then you notice that there are layers of truth. And then you find that what we think is the truth is usually a relative truth to our circumstances. So for example, the language that you know will teach you how to think about things. So I know 4 languages, and my thinking is very different in each language.
Yes, I agree.
And the way you express it is different. And that makes you approach your life in a different way. And so what happens is you gain language, you get taught a type of religion or a type of lifestyle. You're educated into a system that tells you this is true, this is not, this is this. And most of it kind of boxes you in these limits of who you are. And then what happens is, as you go through life, if you just follow all that stuff, you think everything is okay, normal, you're kind of half miserable, half okay. And this is where I think Tony Robbins talks about this. And this is where people, if they were to rate their life, they'd be somewhere between 4 and 5. They're not miserable enough to take action. They're not happy enough to do anything with their life. So it's a no man's land they're in. And I've been there. I know how that feels like. It's one of the worst places to be. So when you're in that state, you either feel enough pain that you transcend that, you go to the next level by growing, or you stay there. Now, most of our identity is connected to our culture, our religion, our language, all these things. This is the identity given to us. Now, what's below that? And the analogy that I give to my clients is below that. So imagine the ocean, there are waves on the ocean. Most of us live on the waves. We are the waves. We're constantly reacting to things, jumping up and down. There's no depth to it. It's just chaos all over. But as soon as you go past the waves underneath the ocean, there's a depth, there's a calmness, there's a peace in there. And everyone has the ability to experience that if they have the courage to. Because you would have to acknowledge that whatever you were taught here is not reality. And guess what? Trauma, stress, overreactions, all these live right on the surface. As soon as you get past that, you notice that there's a side of you not afraid of any of this stuff. So going back to what you asked me, who is afraid of it? So my traumatic side is afraid of everything. It can be triggered by anything, by relationships. So if I had a conflict with my wife, that will get triggered. And then again, now in that moment, I've done enough work with myself to know that, in the past, it would be, this is why most people, when they get a trigger, they react and they think, I am upset, I am angry, I am this, I need to give that person a piece of my mind. Not that I don't do that at times. So I'm not saying that I'm not under the illusions that I'm perfect in that sense. But what I've learned is that, I'm triggered. There's a thought there and there's an emotion. Now I have a choice in that moment.
So you're slowing down. You slow down and you observe. Is that what you're saying?
So you slow down and you pay attention that you're not the thought and emotion anymore. You're the observer behind that. And you have a choice in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
You feel the thought and you observe the thought, you feel the emotion. You can either act on that or you can choose to accept it as it is, not react. And what happens, and this is the most incredible experience that I want to give your audience this gift. If you ever get angry and fearful or stressed out, in that moment become present. And what I mean by that is just focus on your breathing and on your body and just feel the pain. Just like if you were to get a cut in that moment, just feel the pain. Just stay with it. Don't react. Just stay with it. Give yourself a few minutes. Just watch what happens. It's the most incredible feeling that you notice that 2 minutes ago, you thought that there was the end of the world. 2 minutes later, nothing happened. There is no problem. The problem is within. You're reacting to something that came out of your earlier environment, a trigger from your past that was triggered again. Based on and you're reacting to something from the past, not in the present, not what will serve you. So the question your audience need to ask, so if I'm stressed out, first of all, what am I afraid of? Okay, I'm afraid of the whole pandemic. What's going to happen? Well, what's the worst that could happen? Well, the economy is going to shut down. Well, how can I deal with it? Well, maybe I can connect with my loved ones. Maybe I can do this, the other. Find, and your mind will give you the answer that you're seeking. So whatever question you ask, that's what it's going to take you towards. Okay, so you go on that path, and then you get a trigger, you get an emotion. Just stay with it in that moment in terms of emotion, and ask yourself, if I react to this thought and emotion, is that serving me or is that moving me backwards in my life? Is that helpful? Is that going to create a better relationship for me? Is that going to help me grow? Is that gonna help me achieve anything? Or is this something that's just lingering from my past? But I mean, I can't tell you how profound this is. If somebody just notices that their thoughts and emotions and essential their mind is not themselves, that is a tool that you use to show up in life. You are behind that. I can't tell you tangibly or prove to you that there is a something deeper within you. You have to experience that. And I guarantee you can experience that once you go there. But once you do, you notice that you have these powerful tools that you can use to get to the next level in your life, yet you're not using it. It's as if you have this amazing supercomputer, our phones that we have in front of us that used to take the whole room, but now it's in our hands. And most of what we do is we just look at social media all day. But you can use the same thing to create a business. You can use the same thing to invent something. You can use the same exact thing to create something incredibly powerful, just like what you're doing.
Oh, thank you. So Faisal, to wrap up very quickly, can you just give people 5 very simple things they could do to sort of go from that sort of phase of stress that you're saying? So to shift that, like very quickly, how to get out of it in that moment.
Okay. How about we demonstrate that?
Okay.
Okay, you want to try this?
Sure.
Okay, so let's give it a try. Let me see if I have a timer. Let's do this for a minute.
Okay.
Okay, clock. I don't even have my phone with me. I think I left it in the kitchen.
That's okay. I have one. So.
No, I'll have to look at the timer. You're closing your eyes. Are you okay with that?
Am I closing my eyes? Sure.
Yeah. Okay, so let's close your eyes and just try to keep your back straight and try to feel your body and emotions more. And I want you to set an intention to really calm yourself down. Start feeling your body and emotions. And let's take some conscious breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. As you're doing that, I want you to repeat the word release in your mind. Say release, release, release in your mind. And the intention behind that word is to let go of any thoughts, any emotions, anything that comes your way, any tension in your body, you're just going to let them go. If they come back again, you're going to let them go again. So try to keep your back straight, focus on your breathing, and repeat the word release. And I'll tell you when to stop. You can open your eyes. How do you feel?
Great.
Do you feel a little more
Very
relaxed?
relaxed. Very
Well,
relaxed.
we just dealt with something that most people don't do. It's all we did was, I mean, from a biological perspective, we just sent some oxygen down to our brain. From a spiritual perspective, we just stayed still with ourselves and acknowledged what was there and accepted ourselves in that moment. And all that did was it shifts everything. And this is the concept. This if your audience just did this every day, every time they felt stressed out, or just in the morning every day, we just did that for 1 minute. Imagine you did that for 5 minutes. 2 to 5 minutes, that's all it takes. Do that and just set an intention for your day. How do you think that's going to change? That's going to have an incredible impact on your day. And I do this every day. It's not that I'm different from you or anybody else. Just I have practices in place that would help me. So that's one thing that we can. And I wanted to show that it's not complicated to deal with stress.
No, very easy.
We've known that this is something comes out of thousands of years of tradition that humans have had. It's not something new. So another thing we can do is just be aware, just that awareness that whenever we're stressed, ask ourselves, what am I afraid of? And is this thing real or not? Is this in my control? If it's in your control, deal with it. If it's outside of my control, let it go. If the economy is out of control, you have no control whatsoever on that. What can you do within your scope of control? Can you think a different thought that would help that? Can you feel something else? Or can you focus on something else that would make you feel something? Can you take action that will help you improve any aspect of your life? Even if that's as simple as improving your health or connecting with somebody in a better way. So just as simple as that, knowing that focus on the things that you can control, which is usually your own thoughts, emotions, and actions. That's it. Outside of that, we have no control over anything else. That's a reality. That's not something theoretical. We all know this. And then third, I would say, is that have a routine in place on a day-to-day basis. That routine can be as simple as just doing some stretching and moving your body, drinking water, and connecting with somebody positive every morning if you can. Reading a book, a positive book for 10 minutes. That's all it takes to do that. That routine can help you. And by the way, if anybody wants to look into this more, one, you can watch my videos on my YouTube channel because I've talked about this quite a bit. But aside from that, get a book called The Miracle Morning. It'll help you. It'll tap into something that thousands of people have done, and there's a method to go about it. So read that. And that was 3.
I thought you've done 4, I think.
I thought I did 3. Okay, so we did the meditation. We did start thinking about what's in your control and deal with that, and ask yourself, what are you afraid of? I guess that makes it 2. Oh, okay. Then have a routine in place, and just be. And this is the part I guess we didn't go into, and this is incredibly important, is that just be aware that right now the world is in panic mode. As human beings, we're incredibly susceptible to influence from other people. That energy is so powerful, whether it's in your family or in the news or anywhere else, we are impacted by that. Be aware of that impact and try to minimize your interaction with news as much as you can.
Oh, I agree 100%.
With social media, if it's negative, or any of that stuff, focus on the things that will give you something positive. And I'm not saying not to stay informed, but read news rather than watch something, because we're triggered much more by visual and auditory stuff than just reading something. And listen to podcasts or watch Monica's YouTube channel. That'll help you. Read books that are positive. Learn a skill. Play music. Whatever it takes. The point here is that you're not just dealing with stress, you're developing and growing yourself. We don't deal with stress by sitting here and trying to figure out how to deal with stress. We do that by growing as a human being. And when we grow, we get to a point where stress is not the issue. The questions we ask ourselves change. Like, oh, what do I need to do to move forward? What do I need to do to have a better life? What do I need to do to be happy? So we're not thinking essentially about how do I deal with stress. We're creating this environment, internal and external, that doesn't allow stress to come in. And even if it does, it doesn't impact it in the way that it would if your focus was stress. So just be aware of influence outside of you and focus on the thing. And for God's sakes, don't watch news first thing in the morning.
Yes,
Don't turn
I
on.
agree.
Just take that first hour as a gift and design your day and focus on yourself and focus on the things that would move you forward. Get perspective that would help your mind, not take it the other way around. And just being aware of these simple things can incredibly shift your days. It can shift how you look at the world. And there's one other perspective I want to give is everything that there are three categories that changes how we perceive the world. How do we think of ourselves? How do we think of other people? And how do we think of the world as a whole? And this kind of summarizes what we've been talking about. It. How do you perceive yourself? Do you take care of yourself? Do you think it's worth it to take care of yourself? Do you invest in yourself? Do you fill your tank, as you said, love tank?
Yes.
Do you think you're valuable enough to be taken care of? Then the other one, how do you look at other people? Do you think people are generally positive or they're negative? How do you react to people on a regular basis? How you react to people determines the quality of your life. Do you think people are always negative and you're always defending yourself? Or do you think that people are generally good and they have some negative things, just like you, because you're a human being, that they are dealing with as well? And we can all have compassion and empathy. Now, how do you look at the world as a whole? The concept of the universe, is it a positive thing or is it out there to get you? Like you said, is it working through me or is it happening to me?
Yes.
All these determine how you perceive your reality. Your reality is extremely malleable. What we think is real is what our mind is telling us to be real. That's not just, again, it's not something I'm making up. Even from a scientific perspective, we don't know yet what reality is. We don't know what objective reality is. Even if we know what objective is, it's an agreed upon objective for the most part. We don't know outside of our own collective and individual perception what reality is. So whatever we make up is real in our mind. So what are you making? What are the stories you're telling yourself about the world, about other people, and about yourself? Pay attention to those because they will tell you a pattern.
Yes.
They will give you a pattern of how you're thinking and what you need to improve there. So I hope that was simple. I tend to go.
That was fantastic. I mean, that was way more tips than those 5. I think there's a lot of things that people can do that you've suggested. So, Faisal, thank you so much. I'm so grateful for all your wisdom and everything that you shared here. And I will link up everything so people can know how to get in touch with you, go to your YouTube channel, whatever they need to do, get in touch with you. So thank you.
I really appreciate this and thank you for having me here. And once again, you're doing an incredible job and an incredible service for people because this is going to help some people. And like you said, even if it helps one person, it's worth it to do this.
Absolutely.
And thank you for your service. And I'm so glad that I was here.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends. See you next time.